Happy Friday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of You've Gotta Be Sha Tinning Me. I am joined as always by the brains of this operation, Mr. Matt Carlson. Matt, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well. Doing really well. I think we were profitable last week at Sha Tin. I had a really nice Happy Valley. I had a pick three that I think paid a little over like 250 to one or somewhere around there. I had it for $3, so that was good. Had a nice Woodbine pick three even. I had a 15 to one football parlay on the Thursday night game. Like I mean, this, this betting's easy, man. You know, this game's great.
Oh man. We'll touch a little bit on football briefly because what the heck was that Thursday game? That's one of the best games I've seen
It's
in
awesome.
quite some time, and it was just two old dudes out there slinging it, like. And then I mean to end on that play where, I mean Aaron Rodgers bombed the ball like 70 yards down the field and almost I dude, what a freaking game. I did not see that game coming, and it was funny because Caleb, the last couple of weeks, he'll look at like the Thursday night game, and he's like, "Wait a second, this line is bad. They're just begging us to bet the under, like right, and they've gone over, and so this time I think he was like, you know what, this looks like a trap." Right, they're begging us to bet the under. I'm betting the over, and so I think he was finally on the right side of that nonsense. But yeah, I mean that's crazy. I have not the last 2 weeks have been a little bit down for me on Hong Kong, but and Keeneland too as well. But you know I ebbs and flows, and then like today I chased that pick five carry, and I think I might have gone 0 for 5 in that. And luckily I didn't run anything back. The only thing I ran back was there was a horse I really, really liked in the second leg of the turf pick three. Uh, and the horse like went off at like 40 to 1 or something, 48 to 1. And I was like, you know what? Like I really like the horse. I talked about it on Drinking Champagne. And so I put some win money on there. I had an exacta with my other top pick. The horse ran well. I mean, he ran like fourth, I think, in that race at a big price, and he had some run, so he might be one I look to bet back. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's just been tough sledding. But you know, we move on, right? Like
Yeah, you know, it again. The game is when you're winning, the game's the easiest thing in the world, and when you're losing, it feels like you couldn't, you have no idea what you're doing, and you're ready to quit. So that's
yep,
horse racing. You know,
yep. And you know, I got a nice vintage bottle of Bourbon County coffee. I'm sipping on here. You're on like
it's
your fifth. You're on like your fifth pumpkin ale
it's
apparently
pumpkin
over
ale
there.
season. My story was we went out to eat actually with the kids, which we do occasionally, and they're pretty good when we go out. But I saw pumpkin ale on the menu. I'm like, all right, it's pumpkin ale season, right? It's a couple weeks out from Halloween. I gotta get it. And the waitress goes, "Do you want a sugar and cinnamon rim?" I'm like, I didn't know that was an option. Absolutely. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah. My wife's looking at me cross-eyed, like she's getting an IPA. I'm drinking a cinnamon sugar rim pumpkin ale. So I'm like, hell yeah. Suck a couple of those down. It's been a good night. So
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I think we've talked about this before. Your wife's like my wife, like she IPA, like
yeah, yeah,
IPAs all day.
yep.
Like my wife loves IPAs. I mean, she likes any kind of beer. I mean, she you know we're splitting this bomber, but um, yeah, she is just still like we'll go. We went to Oktoberfest at one of the local breweries, and so I was just having I was having the regular like the fest beer that they had, the Marzen. They had a Hefeweizen, so like I'm just drinking the German stuff, right? And so my wife had, I think they had a sauerkraut infused beer.
Okay.
So she
Uh,
had one of those. My wife loves pickles, right? And so she likes fermented stuff. Like
yeah.
she loves kimchi and stuff like that. So she was like,
Nice.
but it was just like a very much. I had a sip of it, and it's very much like that's a beer you get a taster of, and you're like, I see what they did here, They did exactly what they wanted to do, and that's well enough. Have you ever
And
had
now you have a half liter of it. Yeah.
yeah, have you ever had a pickle? Have you ever had a pickle beer, like a pickle
Ooh,
sour?
I don't think I have.
I have the same feeling towards those. Like they like you're like, yes, this tastes exactly like pickle brine. You nailed it. Now,
Uh,
granted, I'm obviously from the Midwest. I'm not I'm a fan of doing a pickleback. I'll do a pickleback
what's I
shot, no
say? I've
problem.
had those, but I mean that's
Yeah.
over very quickly.
Yeah.
It's
But by the way, shout out if you ever want to have the best pickleback shot you'll ever have, right? It's the best pickleback shot you'll ever have is a place called Bavette's in Chicago. It's actually on the menu. They make their own like pickle brine. They make their own pickles and stuff like that. And so like, like you do a pickleback shot at like the dive bar, right? And they got a friggin' jar of Lasix back there,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. It's
So like,
green, it's thick.
yeah, exactly, which is fine, right? But like, dude, like seriously, you go to Bavette's and like you look at the pickle brine and you're like, this looks like good pickle brine, right? And it's just so smooth. It's such a good pickleback. And Bavette's has got two locations. They got one in downtown Chicago and they got one in in Vegas. And actually, funny enough, the Vegas location is way easier to get into than Chicago, which is just wild. But yeah, I like a good pickleback. But yeah, there's a pickle beer, same thing. But anyways, yeah, it was funny. We went to that event, that Oktoberfest event, and they were serving everything in plastic. And I saw even our friend Capone. He was also at an Oktoberfest, and so he's showing his fucking Stein off, and I'm like, great. I'm over here with my plastic cups. He's got this huge Stein. So I came home and I was like pouring double beers into the Stein I had just so I could feel like I
Get the
was
atmosphere,
yeah.
right? I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, long story short, talking about this Bourbon County because, you know, I got to talk about buying tickets in the year of our Lord 2025. Like you can't buy tickets for anything anymore. Like you just cannot like there is nothing that we can enjoy anymore. And I'm telling you, Goose Island came out and they swear to God that there were no bots involved in the buying of these tickets. But they have an event that they do every year. It's called Prop Day. And I've told you, Matt, like you have to come out one year for it. Like we got to figure it out. You have your kids fend for themselves, or you come out. I mean, I think your wife would enjoy it too because I know she likes beer. But
Yeah, she
um,
doesn't really like stouts though, so
oh well,
yeah,
then
she
you
could.
just come out. Like that's
Yeah,
fine.
no,
Uh,
I got a switch.
and it's kind of expensive, right? The tickets are 140 bucks, but for $140, you get two bottles of proprietor stout, which is only released here in Chicago, and then you get two other bottles, and they put it in a nice little package for you. They give you a glass with it, right? It's a nice whole little thing. But you also get an all-day beer event on top of taking that home, right? And so like you're probably taking home at least $100 worth of beer plus the glass, right? So like the event really it works out to be like I've worked out the math once. It's like between like $25 and $40, whatever. Like but you get six tastings there, and then there's also ways you get other tastings. You get all the vendors that they work with show up with all their stuff. So like Intelligentsia Coffee will be there pouring coffee, or Dark Matter, whichever roaster they're working with. There's a guy who they give their barrels to after they make the Bourbon County beer, so he can age tobacco in it and make cigars out of it. Like I mean, it's just awesome. Like all the kind of stuff. It's like a farmer's market for beer nerds tours out there, right? And then like they're pouring their regular stuff. Like you can get like all you can drink Honkers Ale and all this other stuff. And then like they have mystery beers and stuff. It's awesome. It's just a really fun event. But this year they did a special ticket for the first time in they did like a VIP ticket and literally sold out. I think they said in 7 seconds. And it's just like, dude, like, now granted, the ticket is only $50 more than the regular ticket, right? And like, and it got you an hour early entry to the event,
Hmm.
plus a beer that they haven't brewed in like 15 years plus, I think. They only brewed it once, and they're remaking it, and you get to take one of these home. And I told my wife, I'm like, I want that ticket. Well, apparently everybody wanted that ticket. Plus, allegedly no funny business happened here. But I had like five of my friends trying to get tickets for this thing all at the same time, and everyone was on right at 10. Nobody got the ticket, and so I'm like, man, there were a lot of angry people on Instagram, and to the point that Goose Island had to come out and be like, no, there were no bots involved, blah blah blah, and it's like there were
Don't
no,
mind all the resale tickets out there right now. Those
yeah,
aren't bots. Those are real people that just happen to be not be able to make it. You know?
yeah. If there were no bots, then they must have had like 50 tickets. Like, I don't know. Anyways, it's even beer festivals now, right? You can't enjoy anything, right? You can't get concert tickets, you can't get you can't get NFL tickets, you can't get tickets to any games, you can't enjoy anything. Life sucks. Let's talk about Hong Kong. Race 8. Luck you in handicap here. We're going to be going 1,200 meters, Class 3 racing. Um, you know, I look at this race and I see Patch of Stars, who's been favored in his last four races. I think we're gonna make it five races in here because I think that this is a horse that's gonna get bet absolutely off the board, and this is a horse that I want absolutely nothing to do with in this spot. Now, granted, you look at the last two times, right? I mean, last time was drawn out in the parking lot, right? The time before, was drawn kind of wide, but ran okay, and so people are gonna see, I think, that big jump going from the 14 post to the rail. But now you're talking about a horse that's run at this distance and this track twice and has never sniffed the money, right? Now, granted, right, getting Zach, Zach is in five starts, three wins and 1 second, right, and one off the board finish. But I'm just, I just don't, I don't think that 1,200 meters is what this horse wants to do. I really do think that this is a 1,400-meter specialist. And granted, right, you're getting Zach, you're keeping Zach, right? But and you're getting the rail, but I just don't think that you're gonna get what 5-2, 2-1 on this horse, and I just don't think that you're getting this horse doing what he wants to do. So I'm gonna fade. I probably would have gone like A B here, but if I'm right and that two takes a ton of money, I honestly I think the next three horses are very very logical. The three, the four, and the five. I think um, on like I guess like if you like put a gun to my head, probably the five is the horse I'd probably like the most. Just because right, this is a horse with limited sample size. Right, second up here in Hong Kong, ran second on debut at a humongous price, and now is getting a better draw. Right? And I think going from the 11 post to the four post, is that worth a length? Well, maybe half a length. So like I don't know necessarily if you need that much improvement. I think out of this horse, and generally second time in Hong Kong, you're going to see some improvement. So I really do like the 5 star rise in this spot. Um, the three Savvy Brilliant. I'm actually interested to hear what your figures kind of had on this horse because Speed Pro thinks that this horse's last like two races, and granted, right, we're coming off a 3 month layoff. This is first up for this horse, but those races absolutely fit with what the other horses in this race are running. So you look at the form, right? You're looking at a horse that maybe looks like he was off form to end the season, but at least speed figure wise, on Speed Pro, this looked like a horse that was competitive. Now, granted, there is a horse that was 51-1, 31-1, right? Long prices in those races. Probably going to be a long price here as well. But this is going to be a horse that I'm definitely going to use, right? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that this horse was in this class and was favored, right? Now, granted, it was with Zach aboard, but it's not like we're looking at a horse that never had anything, right? This is a horse that's been very, very competitive in this class. It's got two wins in this class. So I think the three Savvy Brilliant is definitely one that fits in here. And then I think the four Infinite Resolve too, right? This is a horse that ran well on debut, ran second, and then kind of regressed a little bit but I think is put together. You know, since the start of the season, you've seen some steady improvement here. You get the best draw that this horse has had this season here, and you just got a horse that looks like he's kind of improving, and yeah, I think the four Infinite Resolve is in here and makes a ton of sense. So I'm gonna use those three. I'm gonna use the three, the four, and the five, and that's it. Interested to see where you landed.
Yeah, I probably saw the race pretty similar to you, though I ended up betting it a lot different. I guess you asked about Savvy Brilliant, so I'll start there. The races way back in like November of 24 definitely fit. Once he hit that December race and it looked like he ended up with a bleeding issue, he just kind of hasn't run the same since, and he looks
Mm,
like 5 or 6 lengths too slow in this field. So I don't know. I mean, if you get that horse coming, back from a year ago, maybe, but I don't know. I'm not that confident. Like Frankie Lore's not that good off the layoff. You get Ed Zanny up, who isn't going to do any favors in my mind. So I was a fade there, but you'll definitely get a price. So I'm not going to talk you off of 30 to 1 if the horse can kind of regain some form that he hasn't had in a while. I, I mean, I went with you on Infinite Resolve. Infinite Resolve definitely fits in here. He's, probably going to be the my value play in here. Not value play, but right. Like I do think Patch of Stars has the ability. I get the distance concerns. I see the same thing. I think he's probably going to be too short. Probably Slow's going to play him anyway, right? I mean, those last two races were really good. Yeah, the distance is a little bit of a concern, but it is Zach. I mean, he's the only other horse in this field that really fits. Short of the 5 Star Rise does fit. My only concern is there, like Matthew Poon's up, and that guy just needs to see one go through the hoop before I can bet him, right? Like I don't think you can bet him at any price right now because he still hasn't won a race. Like he still just needs to cross the line and get something done. I don't know. To me, he's a fade, and I do wonder what price you get, like how much people are going to factor in the jockey angle on that versus not, because I do think the horse definitely fits. I don't know. He's just a hard play for me with Poon up. If any other jockey was up, you'd definitely be on my ticket. But I've been burned on that before. But I was 2-4 as A's. I'm just gonna toss the 5 out, and if I had to win bet, I'll probably win bet the 4. There's one other horse in here that I will play as a B, just as an absolute bomb for no other reason than the fact that um, you have Danny Shum, who has. I know I said last week that trainer angles don't really have any like massive positives here, and then I came across this one where Danny Shum on a 100 to 20 to 250 day layoff is 4 for 21, so that's 19%, which is obviously pretty good in Hong Kong, where you're expected to be around 8, and an ROI of like over $8 on a $2 bet coming off these long layoffs. So look, I have no idea if this horse has any ability. Obviously, he was eased the first time out, so you have no idea what this horse can do. Trials don't look that great. You get Richard Kingscote up, who's not that great. He doesn't have a win on this, configuration ever. He's drawn from the 11 post, so that sucks too. So you're going to get about 99 to 1 on this horse, but hey, at least you have a training angle that, you get an absolute bomb on. And obviously, if you get that, you know, you're going to pay box cars. So I'm just going to toss it in, right? I don't think this horse has any ability, but if I see some sort of angle that at least fits here, why not? Right? I'm willing to take a shot at 100 to 1 or whatever the hell this horse goes off at because I know he's going to be a price because there's nothing that says this horse is going to run a step, um, except for the fact that the trainer runs pretty well off decent sized layoff. So I'll use the 7 as a B just in case. But I think 2 and the 4 are probably the horses that are the ones to beat in here, and I'll probably fit to me finish 1-2 to be honest with you.
cool. Let's move on to race 9, the Woche Handicap. We're going to be going the unicorn distance of the 1400 meters here, class 3 racing. I'll let you start. Where'd you land here?
Yeah, so this race, I think I'm going to fade Zach. I probably went the opposite what you did. I'm not
Uh,
really sure what to do with everyone's star, to be honest with you. I mean, the race that he had last May kind of definitely wins this handily. Zach stays aboard. That said, like I said, Frankie Lore off the layoff is really bad. He's 0 for 18 coming off 120 to 250 day layoffs. So I think for a horse that goes off favored, you have a trainer that probably doesn't really want to fire him first up. You get a pretty poor draw. Um, Granted, horse ran well off a poor draw last time, so maybe that's not a concern. I just think this horse is going to take too much money to want to play to me, and so price dependent, I'm going to fade. You know, I think he has every chance of winning this race. I don't want to play it at the short, price I'm going to take, especially the way I'm probably going to end up playing race one, take the two favorites. So that'll be my fade in here. Three of the horses I did want, I think the two Flying Fortress absolutely fits, right? I mean, I'm willing to forgive the last, effort entirely, right? I mean, that was a slow pace. He was caught three wide kind of around the whole way. If you watch the replay, broke bad, was on a slow pace, so really didn't have a chance to, recover any either. That horse or the race was kind of won on the front end. I think he's has every right to get back to his winning ways, right? I think he's kind of been that progressive type, and has continued to move forward. And if you definitely toss the last one, you kind of have that upward trending figure, again and again. So I think being second up definitely helps him too. I mean, there's the risk that last race is his true form, and he can, it's just going to be kind of off and not show anything here. But I think with the poor effort, kind of drops 3 pounds, gets a decent draw again, gets second up. All signs kind of point to a horse that can do something pretty decent here. So that'll kind of be my primary A. And then two horses that I think I'm just going to play as like the unknowns, whether I play them as A's based on price, just to say, hey, if a ticket's going to cash, I want them. I don't want to get beat out or anything like that. But two horses that I think I'll play anyway. The six Mask Rider. I mean, I'm just a sucker for unknowns and what I think is a pretty weak field. I'm reaching a little bit here, but right. I mean, this horse has never tried turf at all, and the turf trials actually look okay. Granted, they're way back, but you never know, right? I mean, the concern obviously is that if his horse had any sort of turf, ability at all, why the hell did they run him 8 straight times on the dirt? I don't know. But they did put Zach up last out, so you have to think they think there's something of this horse. The horse can actually run on some surface if you're going to put Zach up. If he couldn't run on dirt, not turf. So I'm willing to give it a try. I just don't know where else to go in this field, so I'll toss him in. And then, same sort of thing on the 14, right? I mean, if you've paid any attention to these, podcasts over the past however long we've been doing them, my kryptonite is, lightly raced horses with low weight. And so, anytime I see a horse fourth up in the 14, kind of going off at 116, I'm probably going to bet it into some shape or form. They can just show something out of nowhere and surprise. So, look, this horse had 2 runs at Happy Valley at 1,000 meters and ran, first up on the soft ground, you know, going 1,200. It's Mark Newnham. He's the leading trainer right now. Maybe this horse has something, right? I mean, I think you got to kind of play this horse each way just because, again, from a candidate for a horse that's going to show something that he hasn't shown before, these are the types that can usually do that. So, maybe it's a day where a horse like this shows up and you catch something. But yeah, I think the 6 and the 14 are just kind of my, hey, I don't know that they don't suck yet, so I'll toss those in. But I think Flying Fortress will probably be my main win play in here, aside from kind of those baby horses.
Yeah, I landed on three as my lone A in this spot. I am gonna assume the fact that Zach kind of stays aboard here. Although, granted, you kind of look around and Zach's not necessarily. I don't think he's ridden any of these other horses, so maybe he's just sticking with the horse he knows. But right, those last two races, I mean, either of those races probably win this race fairly easily. Um, so I'm not too worried about the outside draw. If anything, I mean he's drawn a little bit better than he was last time. He's losing 10 pounds from or 2 pounds from that last effort, even though he went up in rating. So yeah, I think the three everyone star just makes a ton of sense in the spot. Um, the only other horse I have as a B is I have the five Harold Win as a B in here, and I'm kind of yeah, I mean I don't think there was anything wrong with his race on 10-1, right? That race was really good, but now I think he's getting back to a distance that I think is just his best distance. I mean, this is a horse that in 5 starts going 1,400 meters has got a win, 2 seconds and 2/3. Has not missed a trifecta in his 5 starts at this track at this distance, and you know you Jerry Chow is also got a win on this horse, and he's off to an all right start for this season. I was kind of looking around at some of the like I'm gonna say like lower percentage jocks, like like the guys who are normally around like 4 to 6 to 8%. You know, those guys that are right around like just a little, maybe a little bit under what you would consider maybe like a standard win percentage, like your Matthew Poons, for example, right? I mean, he's winless to start the meet. I was looking at um, Jimmy Orman. I think has got one win, and Matthew Loom's only got one win. You know, like you're just kind of like a lot of these guys haven't really started going, and you know at least Chow is got he's got the 5 wins, right? He's won a couple here, right? He's still got that 2 pound allowance here, so I really like the 5 Herald win. There's a lot to like here, but I mean I'm guessing I'm probably taking the top two choices in this race, right? I don't think I'm sticking my neck out much here, so. Um, I'm gonna go with the three everyone stars and A. I'm gonna go with the 5 Herald win as my lone B. And then we move on to race 10, 1 turn mile, 1600 meters, class 3 racing, the Shaw Cock handicap. And, we already talked about this. I really, really like the 3 and the 4, Yunglong Elite and Pope Cody. Uh, Granted, both of these guys just not off to a great start. But Jimmy Orman's lone win was on this horse. So I like him coming back here. You know, is drawn well once again. And yeah, I do like him a little bit here to kind of repeat. Yunlong Elite, won last meet to end the meet, and he's kind of a forwardly placed horse. He's always in it. Right. Like you look at the last 5 starts, this is the horse that's like always within like a length and a half of the winner, right? If he's not winning. And he's always up there, he's always forward. So I like both these horses, but I'm gonna go with my lone A to Zach. I'll hit the Zach Simp alarm here. But I mean, this is just the lightly raced Zach horse. He's staying aboard here. Um, he lost to Pope Cody. I mean, all three of these horses actually ran in that 928 race. Um, but I don't know. I think the fact that Zach stays aboard here is probably a good sign. But I'm going to have all three of them, but I think the 5 is probably my top choice here. Once again, I just saw this race kind of chalky. So I got the 3, 4, and 5 here. Where did you land?
Yeah, pretty different from you, to be honest. I thought the 10 Max Q was probably A, your likely favorite, but B, just looks like one of those horses that's going to start rattling off wins and has been, right? I mean, has won the last two, picks up 5 pounds from winning that last race. But it just looks like that's not really going to make a dent. You know, it looks like one of those horses that found the winner's circle, like getting his photo taken, figured something out, did it again, and could just keep rolling. I mean, this looks like one of those horses that's going to win a couple more in a row maybe, and just keep moving up the ladder, right? I mean, one that probably if he wins this one's going to be going off towards like 132, 135, pick up more than that 5 pound standard, if he keeps rattling off those wins. But I just think he's going to be a much deserving favorite. The figs kind of all look really good. His last couple races look really, really solid. Um, probably if he's going to run consistent the last time, he's going to win this race. So he's probably my primary play in here. I will also use the 12. I think as an A in Skyvino. Granted, right? I mean, this horse hasn't gotten a draw the last two. He really doesn't get a draw here either, but does get the benefit of getting an extra pound and really one of those races. I think you look at it and you're like, oh, he finished seventh last out and 8, but really was only beaten by a length and finishing seventh. So I never know what to think of those blanket finishes in domestic racing. Kind of think of them as a negative, where it's like, hey, it's probably a weak field. I think here they might benefit you because I mean, really, you could say, okay, horse that was a length off from the 10 post, gets an extra pound because he finish seventh, right? I mean, you move down and weight when you finish seventh place, but if you're only a length off, like realistically, you probably had a shot to win that race. So, I can argue that it's actually beneficial if you have stuff like that happen to you. And so I think it's one of those rare times that you have a solid effort, but you still get an extra pound out of it. And I think second up this season could just show well, right? If he gets a little bit better break, if he gets a little bit, better circumstance, maybe, right? I don't think he's as good as Max Q, but I'm always willing to take, again, a horse racing at 115 that showed at least some ability first up in a season, now gets second up. So those will kind of be my two A's in here. I do also think the 8, Mr. Dapper, fits. My only concern with this is David Eustace, right? I mean, he's in last place in the trainer standings. He got his first win of the season on Wednesday. He was the last trainer to not have a win this season. So, now everyone's off the snide, but he's been ice cold. And look, I mean, I don't know how this horse is going to fire. The figs, if this horse is running well, do fit. But again, one of those things where coming off those seasonal layoffs, he's 1 for 46, so he's 2%, right? I'm hesitant to toss entirely, but I don't know what price you get. And if you get kind of that price that he was going off at the last few, maybe it's something I don't even include. But yeah, I mean, it's a horse that does fit, I think, on figures, and a horse that I'll, again, like I said, I'm hesitant to toss, but the trainer concerns me. So at 10 and 12 will be my primary plays. I think I might toss in the 8, but if he's probably like your third or fourth choice, maybe I just don't even use that one either. Just go 10, 12.
All right. And then where did you go for your bonus bet?
I went to race 3.
All right. Talk to me about race 3.
And then, one of those things where I'm like, okay, this field looks pretty even. I'm going to go back to the well a little bit about something I talked about. I'm going to go to a low weight, and I'm going to go to an angle that I'm hoping works. I'm going to go with the angle of Matthew Poon hopping off of a horse, right? I think that's positive in and of itself. The 13 double win has that. And look, the horse ran really well last out with Matthew Poon breaking from a 12 post. Closed in on an otherwise very forwardly placed field and now gets in with a much better draw. I think this horse's best races have always come at 1,800, even though this horse doesn't have a win yet. I think all those angles, getting a significant jock upgrade, getting a significant post upgrade, I think has a really good shot in here. So I'm gonna take that. Hopefully you get a decent enough price. I know his win numbers have been coming down. Maybe it's one of those horses that people get sick of betting and you get 5 or 6 to 1 in here, and can kind of sneak under the radar. So that'll kind of be my my big play in the early, I think, and probably key that in the early pick 3 as well to hopefully get it started.
Can you guess what race I went to?
Haha. Let's see. Hold on.
I have a feeling like if you looked at this card, you should know what race and what horse I'm on.
What speed horse did you bet in this? How many all-weather races? Where's a Brittany Wong horse? Is Brittany Wong even racing here today? I don't know offhand, but I should know.
All right, you're out of time. You're out of time. But you were there. You were there. You almost got there because you asked the most important question. Does Brittany Wong have a mount? And you know what's funny? Is Brittany Wong has got one mount on the entire card. And it's in race 1. And it's on the 4. Soon Wong Glory.
There it is.
And guess what? Brittany Wong's ridden this horse twice. And in the last, ridden this horse twice in the last, however many months on the turf. And has won both those races. So I'm back on the 4, Soon Wong Glory here, getting Brittany Wong aboard, right? Speed. This is a speed horse here. Brittany Wong gets his horse out of the gate. They tried, is that Matthew Chadwick? 2 back, and I mean, he finished 11th, right? They got Brittany back on, guess what? She airs. So winning by open lengths there. So I'm back on this horse, I'll have a nice little win bet on this for Soon Won Glory.
I knew it was in there somewhere. I knew where you're going. I just had to try and find it. I don't have the benefit of the grid like that in front of my stuff. So
it's all right. It's all the pumpkin ales.
Yeah, I'll blame that. You know, the sugar rims go straight to your
All
head.
right.
So
So fall, right? Right. We get a lot of different, right? You get your pumpkin ales, right? You get your stuff like Warlock and Pumpkin, which are pumpkin adjacent, right? But they're like more imperial style stuff. You get your Marzens, you get your Fest beers, you get your Weisens, right? What if you could only take one? Which one are you taking?
so I actually uh, I will pat myself on the back and something that I will need to brew again. But my favorite pumpkin beer I ever had is actually one that I brewed. And it was a pumpkin Dunkelweizen, which obviously I dubbed a Punkelweizen. Just using like that big like clove flavor coming out of the yeast to, to real get pumpkin. I also was like, I got a bunch of like actual sugar pumpkins and like cooked them down and mashed them and whatnot. So I mean, I went
Mm.
all in. Uh, but I got to get that beer back. So anyway, to answer your question, if you could find a pumpkin like wheat beer, like a dark wheat that has some pumpkin flavor in it, those are premium to me.
So
But
right, I know. Oh, two things, right? You talking about that reminds me of um, Pumpkinhead Ale, which was
Shipyard or whatever.
Dogfish
Oh,
Head,
okay,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are okay.
right? Yeah,
But
dude, remember Dogfish Head, man? They were just like at the top of the game for a while, and now they're, I think he might have finally sold, um, but honestly, if you like fall beers, like one of my favorite beers and a beer that honestly, like if I could have on tap all year round, I would. Like it's gonna sound super basic, but at Sam Adams Oktoberfest, I think it's one of the better American versions of the style. It's I love a darker like an amber style lager, a Vienna lager or a Marzen. I love Negro Modelo, for example. But I love St. Adam's Oktoberfest. The other day I was at the store and they actually had a fall variety pack that has a pumpkin ale. That's fine. My wife likes it. I'm not a huge. I much prefer the pumpkin spice stuff like Pumpkin from Southern Tier or Warlock. But they have pumpkin ale. It's good. They have obviously their Oktoberfest. They have a Hell's Lager,
mhm.
so a nice like real crisp lager in there, which is really nice. And then they also have a Dunkel. So I think it's called like flannel or something, flannel sweater or something. I forget what it is, but it's actually I all the beers in there were actually pretty solid, and I was actually it was so good that with my um, I bought it at like the grocery store or whatever, which apparently might shock people that we can buy beer at a grocery store. Apparently that's not a thing
We can
everywhere.
do that in Connecticut.
Okay, you can. Good,
That's
good
yeah,
for you.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, hey, well,
Not liquor. There's no liquor and wine
no.
in a grocery store, but beer is available. So yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. I'm used to others. I've seen other states that have a full blown like liquor section in a Kroger or something like that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's not
yeah,
Connecticut. Those are package stores, but
yeah.
yeah. So
But anyways, so um, we did an Oktoberfest tasting with a friend of ours, and my wife's like, "Hey, can you pick up that sampler again? Because it was really good." So it's not it's there's so many different beers. It's rare that we kind of like buy the same beer twice
yeah,
like that. So it was good enough that my wife's like, "Hey, let's buy another one." But
there you go.
that's going to do it for us here on You've Gotta Be Sha Beering Me. Check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drink. Matt is at Slow and Steadied. You can check him out on Twitter with his full card picks. He'll have those up. We should have another live show coming up here in a couple weeks, so we'll keep you guys posted on that. But good luck, everybody. Let's make some money.